You're standing in your own way and it's so frustrating. There's this one part of you that really knows that you have that potential and that you can do so much more with your life and that you're meant for more. And then there's this other part of you that is sabotaging you. You know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. In this video, I'm going to share with you the thinking patterns that are ruining your life. And at the end of the video, we'll give you a solution for all of those thinking patterns. So buckle up, buttercup, because we're going to rebrand your brain today. You believe that something is true just because you feel it. It's that voice that's telling you,
I feel like a failure, so that must be true.
you feel overwhelmed and you think,
Oh, this is not for me, it's too hard for me.
you feel unlovable and that you suck, and then you think that other people will think the same thing. And because you're so unlovable, that's why people don't like you. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean it is actually rooted in reality. Emotions and feelings are fleeting. They are not always an accurate reflection of the truth. There's a thing called intuition, and you need to learn to listen to that, but that is different from having a certain feeling and then making assumptions based on that feeling that you have. Just because you feel something doesn't make it a fact. There is a day where you feel low and then everything is horrible. You don't believe anything good will happen to you. And then the next day you feel amazing and you feel like, oh my God, you're on top of the world. So that should tell you that emotions are really fleeting and you should not make assumptions based on a feeling that you have. If you feel like something and then you make an assumption based on that, you need to learn to detach. You need to acknowledge your feeling, but you also need to understand it's just a moment in time. Ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have that supports that feeling? Probably none. And what is the evidence that actually contradicts that? And that will help you to actually see the situation more holistically and more clearly. To constantly imagine an idealized version of yourself and idealized version of your life, and then you indulge in that idealized version. Equally, you're disappointed because reality is not matching up. You're just indulging in the perfectionist daydreaming. You're indulging in a fantasy. It's amazing if you create that amazing badass future self version of yourself, that vision that you have and that you really aspire to be. But if you are someone that thinks, now I can just chill and not do anything, or I can just overeat because I can start tomorrow, because from tomorrow onwards I will be perfect. From tomorrow onwards I will not overeat anymore. From tomorrow onwards I will just be a workout girly. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat perfectly. And what happens? It won't happen because you idolize that future version of you that is not you. You will not be perfect from the next day onwards. And how do you know that? Because you always constantly keep letting yourself down, because you have that perfectionist daydreaming where you really indulge in that perfect version of yourself, but you're not acting in alignment with that version of yourself. You are holding yourself to impossible standards, and all that is doing is that you are letting yourself down and you're being frustrated with yourself. So you need to start focusing on realistic goals, like what is actually realistic for you to do the next day. I'm super guilty of this. I have put so many things on my to-do list because I'm like, oh, now I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going to get all these things done. It's never going to happen. You need to start off small. Now I can just like binge and overeat because tomorrow I'm just going to eat perfectly. For the rest of my life, it's not going to happen, girl, okay? So you need to really start focusing on what is actually realistic for me to do and then follow through on that. And your little perfectionist will tell you, oh, it's not enough, it's not good enough, like you can do more. It will always come in and tell you that, but you need to call it out because it's a lie. Focus on the minimum that you can achieve and start following through on that. Start being consistent with doing little things, but consistently, rather than trying to do the big things and then you're not going to be able to do that. Perfectionist daydreaming is a really sneaky strategy of your lower brain to keep you at your current level, to not level up, because your lower brain doesn't want you to level up. Your lower brain is only concerned with you avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, and saving energy. That's all it wants. It's a survival mechanism. It actually wants to keep you in the loop of what you're currently doing, your bad habits, your overeating, your procrastination, because your lower brain doesn't want to up level. It doesn't want to glow up. It doesn't want to become the next level version of yourself, because that is really scary for your brain. It doesn't want to do anything that feels hard. So it wants to procrastinate, it wants to keep eating, and it wants to not do the workout. And it will keep telling you stories that, oh, you can just do it tomorrow. It's a tactic that your lower brain is doing, and you need to stop listening to it because it's a lie. You should be more successful. You should be further ahead. You should be in a relationship by now. You should have more money. You should have already lost the weight by now. All these like should statements are complete BS. These statements are literally so self-critical and they don't do anything good for you. Like what is it doing for you? Nothing. When you're constantly telling yourself what you should be doing, you're actually setting up a mental battle between where you are right now and where you think you should be. I mean, that doesn't feel good. All it does is you giving all the power to your harsh inner critic. It's bullying. It doesn't actually do anything for you. The should statements are so dangerous because they're actually trying to hold you to a strict rule book, and as soon as you're not following that rule book, you're not good enough. You want to say, instead of I should, you say things like I'd like to or I work towards to. This is a simple shift to become more compassionate. You love to see things in extremes. You're either a success and you're amazing, or you're a failure and you're a disgrace. It's either good or bad and there's no middle ground. This kind of black and white thinking is leading to perfectionism. But your life is not black and white. It's full of shades of gray and different colors. It's a sneaky way to keep you at a lower level. It's a sneaky way to manipulate you to not level up. Shades of gray can be really scary for your lower brain because there's no certainty. Your brain likes certainty. And with that kind of black and white thinking, you can protect your identity. For example, when it comes to food, like, oh, these are good foods, these are bad foods. It's really simple for me. So I stay away from the bad foods and I just focus on the good foods. But that kind of behavior can really damage you because it leads to perfectionism and it leads to that thinking. If I don't do the good thing and I do the bad thing, then I'm bad. That leads to your inner critic being really powerful again and bullying you. You start to judge yourself. That's not what we want. You need to start practicing seeing the middle ground instead of getting obsessive with, oh, I need to always be good. And if I'm not being able to only eat the good foods, then I'm bad. That can really cause eating disorders. This is how things start because you're trying to be so perfect. So one of the things you can start doing is to really ask yourself, is there a more balanced way of approaching this? Stop listening to what other people say. You need to create your own guidelines. It's your life and you make the decisions, no one else. Anything that is hard for you, you need to work on it. If it's hard for you to work out, you should work out more. If it's hard for you to rest, then you should rest more. If it's hard for you to eat the cookie, you should eat the cookie. If it's hard for you to not eat the cookie, you should probably not eat the cookie. So that's where you find your balance. Like, whatever is hard for you, practice doing that more. You assume that you know exactly what someone else is thinking. It's usually something negative. You never really assume that someone is thinking something great or positive about you. They must think I'm stupid, they must think I'm ugly, I just know they don't like me. But these assumptions are just what your brain comes up with. It's literally you're trying to read minds, which you cannot do. I'm sorry, you can't. What you think someone else is thinking is literally a reflection of what you are thinking about yourself. Because if you were thinking great things about yourself, you would also assume other people think great things about you. Imagine how that would feel like if you just go through the world and just assuming people think great things about you. If you start practicing that, you'll feel more confident. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they think, it's what you think about yourself. The solution for that is you can start to communicate, you can start to ask questions and really understand what other people are actually thinking instead of just assuming, especially when it comes to relationships. I think this can be really powerful. You are a fortune teller. You know exactly what's going to happen in the future.
I know if I put all this effort in, it's just never going to work anyway, so what's the point?
You cannot predict the future. You already think that you will not be able to do it, so obviously you will not be able to do it. You need to work on yourself because you can literally change the future. You need to think that you will be able to. Like, how is the energy when you think I cannot do it, or you have the energy of like, I will be able to do this. I'm not gonna give up. Doesn't matter what it takes. That's the energy you want. If you think things don't work out, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. All your actions and all your energy will go into it not working out, and then obviously it's not going to work out. Energy flows where attention goes. Your future is literally unwritten, and you're deciding with what you think how the future is written. That is the energy you want. You need to start taking actionable steps today that are aligning with the future that you want. You just love thinking about the past. Should have, could have. What does that do to you? Waste of energy. You need to learn from the past. You need to be curious. I overate. Why? Instead of being like, oh, you suck, you can never do it. You need to move from judgment to curiosity and understanding why you made certain decisions without the judgment. I believe everything happens for you. What happened, happened. It happened for a reason. I truly believe this. And if you made mistakes in the past, what can you learn from the mistake? Always want to think about like, what can this teach me? You're a drama queen. You love to catastrophize. You love to imagine the worst possible outcome of any situation. You're a little drama queen. You like to think, if I mess up this presentation, I'm gonna lose my job. And you love to worry. Worrying is like your number one hobby.
If this relationship doesn't work out, then I will be single forever.
Catastrophizing literally takes a small concern that you have and it blows it up. And what does it do? It gives you anxiety and it gives you stress. That's all it does. So you stress about a scenario in your brain that hasn't even happened yet. I'm a drama queen. I have really worked on that. Think further ahead, like what is the worst possible outcome? Like really think like, okay, I lose my job, then what? And you need to look at this to the end. Like what is the worst that can happen? Okay, if I lose my job, I will not be able to pay rent, I need to move out and possibly move in with my mom or my dad. Then I start again, I start to find another job. So you need to take a step back and really look at the situation objectively. Is it true that if you're single again, that you will never ever find someone? Everything happens for you, even though the relationship might not work or you will lose the job. It happens for you. Another door will open for you. Your thoughts have so much power. You have the power to change them. You're not a puppet. You're not a victim to your thoughts. You are still the one who is in control of what you're thinking. If you found this video helpful, make sure you watch my next video on the 7 brutally honest truths that you need to hear. Okay guys, I hope this was helpful. See you soon. Bye!